Good morning. Welcome to On Texas Football. I'm Bobby Burton, joined by Gerry Hamilton of On Texas Football. This episode of Rapid Reactions brought to you by our friend Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. Hey, Gerry, I tell you what, tough day on Saturday for the Longhorn offense in particular. That has to be where we start this episode. The Longhorns just could not get things going, whether it was play calling, the offensive line being inconsistent, or Arch Manning missing 10 straight passes in the first half alone. What were your takeaways on this offense?
Well, my biggest takeaway, I had a thought during the second half of the watch with us is, the saying, it's never as good or it's never as bad. I actually think it was worse on offense. It doesn't fall in that category. Did you think about it? No, it's not actually as bad as what I saw yesterday. No, I actually think it may be worse, being honest, because look, you can look at every single position and find an issue right now.
Yeah. It's not just quarterback.
No,
and it could involve coaching in play calling, and it could be all.
Yeah. I mean, but now, obviously, the most glaring is at least from my perspective, I've witnessed a total breakdown in confidence of the quarterback.
Yep.
And look, people can talk about mechanics. They can look at all these things they want. But at the end of the day, just go back and look. Go back and watch the Mississippi State game from last year this week. And you're going to see dramatic difference in confidence level of a player. And once your confidence gets shaky, everything breaks down. And that's what I think we're seeing.
A lot of people in the post game said that his body language just does not look good. And one of the things we talked about on Saturday in the pregame was, hey, we want him to go out and have some fun, let it loose, let it rip, see what you can do. And, every time he took a step forward, it seemed to take a step back. And then he had that really bad run there in the second quarter in particular. I felt like he was pressing, came back and made some nice throws in the fourth quarter even. The touchdown throw to Ryan Wingo was a nice pass. The dig route over the middle to Ryan Wingo was good as well. But then it just even to end that game, and I mentioned this in the post game, even to end it, the overthrow of Christian Clark in the flat when it was just a simple check down.
Bobby, it wasn't even, and I agree with you, it's an overthrow, but it's how bad it was.
Yes.
I mean, it was 3 feet over his head.
Yes, I agree.
I mean, Manute Bol it was Shaq on his shoulders, couldn't have caught that ball. So those are the worrisome things. And look, we want all these guys, not just Texas, we want all these guys to go have success. If they work hard and they're good guys, and Arch is all those things. He's been exemplary. That was, throughout all that game, that one at the end might have been the most concerning. Because that is one of the simplest plays and throws for a quarterback. And to miss it that badly is concerning.
Yeah.
And some people are, and in the watch with us, people say, "Oh, Gerry, you're being dramatic." I don't know. I just go on what I see, but that was pretty concerning from a confidence standpoint of a player, of an athlete.
Yeah, I get it, and I think we'll see more and see what Texas has in store. They've got one thing that we know is Sark has to find a better way of getting Arch Manning going earlier with more, whether it's easy throws, whether it's involving him in the run game. I thought getting his legs going in the second half actually helped his passing.
Yeah,
by running a little bit more. I thought it got him going and kind of game speeded up, but the thought process that this would be a steady climb up for Arch Manning, I think, went out the window yesterday.
Yeah.
So we got to see what he comes with against Sam Houston this coming weekend, and we'll go from there. Also on offense, I do want to mention something that I think is pretty positive, and that's the addition of James Simon to the running back room, because when Cedric Baxter went out yesterday, very first play of the game, it was a hamstring, according to Steve Sarkisian in the press conference. When he went out, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be interesting. Either Jarrett Gibson or Christian Clark are really going to step up. Neither really did that. They didn't get a lot of extra yardage on their own. Simon came in, and frankly, Jerry, I felt like he played the best of the running backs. Seemed to find the hole, seemed to have a little bit more vision, and then maybe a little bit more quickness even than Clark, whereas Gibson's more of that power back and certainly has a role. But I look at this and I said, oh, well, good. At least they may have found another running back if Cedric Baxter, for example, has an issue for longer than just one game. Now that's a hamstring.
Yeah, so James Simon, what I think he may, when we look back on this Texas running back room, I think instinctively he's going to be the best runner in the program. If that's what his first game action is, what's his fifth, sixth game action going to be if they can block it well enough up front? He's a guy that if you can block it well enough, he's going to see it, and he's going to have the patience, and he's going to have the instincts, and he's going to maximize the runs. That's what you need. You want a run maximizer. Now, sometimes it's a home run hitter, sometimes it's a power back, but how are you going to an instinctive maximizer of runs is a pretty dangerous thing. Because that's a guy who's making all the right cuts. His vision's really good. He reads the linebackers. Everything comes with the correct timing from a running back position. Not saying he's perfect, but you know what he did too, Bobby? He's got really good leg drive.
Mm-hmm.
His feet and legs were pumping on contact, and he ran with a little violence on contact. And this offense really needs that combination. So he was a bright spot, and I think he's got a really bright future at the running back position. I don't think there's any doubt.
All right, I want to say thanks once again to our sponsor, Adam Lowy over at the Lowy Law Firm. If you've been injured in a car wreck, truck wreck, automobile accident of any kind and think you might be due compensation, make sure you reach out to Adam and his group for a no-strings-attached consultation. That's LowyLawFirm.com. A couple other thoughts here, Jerry, as we move forward in this program. How much does the lack of DeAndre Moore, Emmett Mosley, C.J. Baxter, and Trey Wisner play into a performance like we saw yesterday? Because, look, they were down their top two running backs and two of their top four wide receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, how big a issue is that?
Well, and I'll go a step further. When fall camp or when the roster was completed, two of your three starting receivers. Now, Parker Livingston's come on, but Emmett Mosley wasn't recruited out of the portal to be a backup at Texas. He was seen as a guy who was going to start. So I think it's huge because I think Mosley's a really good blocker too. I think he's the most physical receiver Texas has. And so you've missed that in the blocking game, the pass catching game, perimeter blocking, run blocking, what 50-50 ball winner. I think they've missed him quite a bit. And DeAndre Moore is as consistent of a player as there is in the program. And that's a leadership thing. And so you're going to miss him when he's not in there as well. And what that does then is Parker Livingston has a little less pressure on him. He has more favorable matchups. Now he works into the 2 receiver role. I think that's different than what Texas had in mind for him. And then with Trey Wisner, again, a very consistent football player, a guy that brings toughness to your offense. So they're missing a lot of, I think, toughness on offense with some of the guys out with injuries, because I think DeAndre Moore has some of that toughness too. I think he's a physical player. Most SoCal guys get the rep of being soft. He's not a soft guy. So I think they're missing a lot of that. But I'll tell you this. I mean, the things we talked about with Arch, Bobby, I see a little of that on the offensive line too. I see a couple of guys that are moving with a lack of confidence. And if you don't move with confidence on the offensive line, you're going to get blown up. If you're hesitant, if you don't believe what your eyes are seeing pre-snap and you're hesitant after the ball snap, or if you're thinking more than just playing, you're going to get smoked as an offensive lineman. And I'm getting a sense of a little bit of that on the offensive line too right now. There's a lot that's got to be cleaned up next weekend at Sam Houston State, and then the off weekend in the Florida, because this is right now Texas is not going to play winning football in the SEC.
No, it doesn't look good on offense. And I would add this to the offensive line. Cole Hudson went out late in that game. We do not currently have the knowledge of what his injury was. Connor Robertson replaced him, but we really saw no other substitutions on the offensive line the whole game. Texas clearly trying to gel that offensive line, and I'm just not sure it ever did. And whether that's because the quarterback was off, whether they didn't have enough good receivers, the running backs were down to the third, fourth, and fifth string. I'm not sure. Steve Sarkisian in his post-game press conference said, look, it definitely is a work in progress and wasn't ideal. I look at it and say, where does this offense go from here?
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem you and I have in this rapid reactions piece is we don't know where the offense goes from here. I thought last week I got a glimpse of where it could go. Arch had 5 touchdowns, right? 4 of them passing. You got a glimpse of where this might go. Fast forward a week, and now it looks like we're back to square one against a team that, hey, maybe they apply a lot of pressure or what have you, but it's not an A-plus unit. And there's going to be guys in the SEC that if they do that to Texas, it'll be a different story altogether, and not be as it won't be a 27-10 victory where you're putting in Matthew Caldwell in the fourth quarter. Let's talk a little bit about the defense and special teams. Rod thought in the postgame, he thought that the special teams was much better. Obviously, Ryan Niblett, I thought, fielded punts well, had a big return, other than 2 Warren Roberson penalties, who got replaced, by the way, after that second penalty as a gunner and as a blocker on the special teams unit by Derek Williams. I did see some improvement on special teams. Was it perfect, though? I'm not sure. Bomeister did well. Mason Shipley knocked home 2. Not a ton to write home about, but I thought that Ryan Niblett showed a little something more in the return game than maybe we were giving him credit for early in the season, given that he didn't field those punts in Columbus.
Yeah, and I think a couple of things happened there. Yeah, I definitely think the more experience you get, your confidence should grow. And I'll still say this: there on one of Niblett's maybe his long return, one of the 2 returns, I can't remember which one. What I hope he takes from this tape is if he had slowed down and let one block happen in that punt return, just a split second, he might have been able to get to the corner and add another 20 yards. As he gets more experience in returning punts against Division I players, I think there's more things he can get out of his return game. But it was good to see some right hash makes. Bomeister's a stud as a punter. It was great to see 3 punt returns for 24-yard average from Niblett. So there were some positives there. Couple of penalties again on special teams that were, blocking the back that was really not needed. So again, improvement there. And we talked about it preseason. If that was one area we knew would be improved, it was going to be punter and kicker. Those are going to be improved areas on this team.
Jerry, the last piece we want to talk about is probably the bright spot of the game yesterday, and that is the Texas defense going up against the UTEP offense. Texas, yes, UTEP scored in the fourth quarter when the backups were in, not just the backups, but even third string guys. I tell you what, the run defense for Texas is stout. Yes. They're just not giving people much at all. And this is the 3rd consecutive game where they've done so, in my opinion. I feel like Texas is there's a lot to like about this defense. Are there weak spots? Maybe in spots. Maybe Jalen Gilbo's getting he had a PI as well as almost had a big a running catch on him too. But other than that, I just see a Texas defense that is really athletic, really physical, and likes to get after it. And the results are showing. I mean, what is this? Another game where they had 200 yards of total offense, and 80 of that probably came in the final 5 minutes. Yeah. I mean, it's Texas has a really, really good defense. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, to your point, I think UTEP ended the game with 259 yards. but Texas could have held them under 200 yards if they really felt like it. I mean, those are good. That's a good defensive day. And you know who's the biggest benefactor of Texas work in the portal on the defensive line? Leonga Lafau. I mean, he's got to love it when he sees Murad Watson and Hero Canoe and Cole Brevard and Travis Shaw. I mean, Texas did really well in the portal on the defensive line recruiting.
Yeah.
I mean, I know right now, look, everybody's talking about the offense, and it's more glass half empty on this team than glass half full, to be, if we're being real with the fan base, and I get it. But there's some good things too, but it's not going to matter if the offense doesn't get its act together. But Murad Watson's a very good football player. Hero Canoe, I think, has gone way beyond what the staff even thought when they brought him in. You're getting solid snaps out of Brevard. You're getting good snaps out of Travis Shaw. I think you're getting good snaps out of your returning edge guys, Ethan Burke, right? Trey Moore at the linebacker / hybrid. Brad Spence, when he gets in, does some good things. And it's not a lot. Colton Vosick looked very athletic. Zena had a sack. The Texas defensive line, it continues to play well. The Texas linebackers continue to play well. And the one thing I'll say about the defense that's total opposite from the offense right now is I think this defense for sure has another level they can get to in conference play when they really start dialing up different types of pressures and different things within the scheme for Anthony Hill, for Colin Simmons, for even Ty Anthony Smith as a blitzer potentially. I think there's a lot more that PK and Johnny Nansen, those guys, can get out of the defense when the competition goes up about 5 notches. The offense, I'm not so sure right now, but the defense, I still think they can get better. The question is, if the offense continues to struggle, the dam's eventually going to break for the defense. You can only hold up so long. That's why the offense has to get this together next week and start pulling their half at the end of the bargain.
Just some notes real quick on injuries before we leave folks this morning. Cedric Baxter left the game. It was a hamstring. He walked off under his own power, walked to the locker room, etc. Cole Hudson was in the tent in the fourth quarter. He actually walked off the field under his own power as well. Still was in his full suited out pads. No clear indication of what that situation is. And then Kobe Black never returned either after a punt coverage tackle early in the game. So Longhorns getting a little nicked on depth at this point. But I think that Hudson, it looked promising. And I think Baxter, let's see if he just needs a week off or what it is that he needs. I was concerned that it might be his knee or something, but it does not sound like it was, according to Steve Sarkisian. So that is good news as well. All right, Longhorns have a lot of work to do this week on offense in particular. Arch Manning and the offense, I think, Jerry, you nailed it. They need to get some confidence. That can start today in the film room and trying to figure out where they're going from here, because the defense and special teams, I think, is good enough. We got to figure out if the offense can pick up its act here as we go into Sam Houston State. Longhorns 2-1 with a 27-10 win over UTEP. A physical game. Longhorns rushed for 200+ yards, but also one marked with misfires on offense, especially at the quarterback position. All right, that'll do it for Gerry Hamilton and our producer, Matt Hutchison. I'm Bobby Burton. We'll have more today, including grades, the second watch with Rod Babers, as well as our live stream tonight at around 7 o'clock, where we'll be taking your questions. For Jerry, I'm Bobby. You guys have a good one. Have a good day. Hook 'em.